Welcome back to another episode of Safety Talk Tuesday. I'm Margaret Coates, Superintendent of Owasso Public Schools, and today's topic is student discipline equals stress-free learning. And today we have two administrators with me, Michelle Million, who's the principal at Northeast Elementary, and Mr. Eric Nantois, who is the principal at the 7th grade center. So one elementary and one secondary administrator. And so we're just going to have a conversation about discipline. And when I say student discipline, I'm not really referring to, although it does include students getting in trouble. It's not really that. That's not our topic. It's about how do we create an environment that is structured and disciplined so that we can protect learning, protect the classroom environment, and really keep everybody safe. So one thing would be a rule like there's no running in the hallways, right? We only walk in the hallways, but that rule is in place for safety, so to make sure we don't have kids bumping into each other and that sort of thing. So let's just do a little background with you guys. Just tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into public education and what you love best about your role right now.
I'm Michelle Million, and I have been in education 21 years. I was in the classroom for 12 years, so I started in 3rd grade, taught 3rd grade, 5th grade, 2nd grade, and then had a wonderful principal who left the district I was in, came to Owasso, and she really inspired me to be a leader. And so went back to school to be a principal and then moved to Owasso, and I'm in my 9th year of being a principal here in Owasso. The thing that I love best about my job is it just doesn't feel like a job. My building, my teachers, my students, we are all just a huge family. We have fun, we learn together, we grow together, and it's just the most rewarding job ever. So
yeah, that's awesome. And that kind of goes along with our topic today in our meeting that we just had about how do we help our teachers reach their find their passion or excel or go to that next level and be their best, reach their potential. And so you had someone pour into you that said, hey, I think you could be a principal.
Yeah.
And now here you are.
Yes.
It's awesome. And I'm glad we have you here as our principal and not at the other district.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Nantois, what about you?
Eric Nantois from Del City, Oklahoma, son of a principal. So I grew up in schools and never changed my major. I knew that was what I was gonna do the whole time.
How did you know that you wanted to do that?
I felt called. I felt called to be in education. And,
did you work at like sports camps when you were younger, or do you have any type of like introduction into teaching before you went to college?
Just I think growing up in the school and having such a positive experience in high school, and I had very positive coaches. And I saw the impact they had on me and others and wanted to make an impact.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you love best about your job right now?
Right now we're experimenting with the new schedule, and I get tunnel focused on things, and that's what I'm
trying new things that get you excited.
Yep,
yeah.
But just being with kids and seeing how they're reacting with this new schedule and
That's
the teachers,
awesome.
it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good. All right. So why is it important to have discipline and have policies and rules within a school?
So for elementary, I have nearly 500 students from the ages of 4 to 11. So if there weren't structures in place, it would be really chaotic. And kids, I think they really thrive on knowing what the expectation is. And so just setting those clear expectations the very beginning of the school year, we do that. We spend weeks going over, this is what it looks like to walk down the hall safely. This is how you treat a friend. And so really just going over everything at the beginning of the year to set those things in place. We do have, I guess you could consider it rules where Great Expectations model school. And so we have what we call expectations. So it's not a don't do this, but this is the way we do this. So an example would be we allow others to go first. We say please and thank you. We say excuse me. And we treat each other with respect. So we just have a set of expectations for how we do business.
So instead of saying don't run down the hallway, you say please walk
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
walk to class.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, what about you? What do you, why do you think it's important? Probably the same
Just
things.
kind of following up
Yeah.
on what she said is I don't, you don't know how many times we've had kids that have just messed up, and I asked the question, do you want a school where that's okay? And I've never had a student want a school where poor behavior is okay. It's
Yeah.
a scary place. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not safe. It doesn't provide an environment to learn. So, you know, Bob Stoops had a quote. It was something along the lines of, "Kids desire and need discipline. Be tough enough to give it to them."
Yeah.
And
I
so,
like that. Yeah.
you know, sometimes it's not the easiest thing to
Yeah,
do.
it's
You're
kind of
correct.
like being at that almost like an extended parent. You got to care enough, love them enough to set those expectations and
Yep.
then hold them to that. So, what is the process? What do you guys do to set those expectations for behavior? You mentioned at the beginning of the year, you do those, you know, for elementary, you work weeks on how to walk in the line, how to sit in the cafeteria, but how do you exactly do that? Like what's the first day of school for elementary? Everybody's rotating to a new grade level. You're getting brand new pre-K, brand new kindergarten students. Some kids have never been in school before. So how do you, like, specifically, what's your process?
I'll start with, before we can ever even teach the kids what we want them to do, they have to trust us first. And so a huge part of the elementary world is just having a culture in your building where kids feel valued and loved and cared about. Because once we have them where they know we care about them, then they're more likely to listen to us, whether that's academically or with behavior. So in the beginning, it's all about building those relationships, teachers getting to know their new students, learning things about them, learning what motivates them. Another huge part is just we want to model all the things that we want for little kids, because it's really hard to tell them what not to do. It's easier to show them what we want them to do. And so really spotlighting when someone does something correctly. Oh, I love the way you raised your hand when you, you know, had a question, or I love the way you threw away the trash off your desk. So it's really reinforcing the things that we want from them. That helps us establish that beginning of the year. But starting day one, it is showing them and showing them and showing them and showing them over and over how we kind of want things.
I've been there, you know, we rotate, we go visit sites the first 2 weeks of school. And so I've seen at the elementary school the practicing of putting things away in their desk and standing up and forming the line at the door in order to just walk down the hallway, and then how you walk in a straight line and all those things. So you guys do an amazing job. And then once you set those expectations and you practice, then it's just second nature.
Yes.
They just do it.
Yes.
Yeah. So at the secondary level, it's a little bit different because they've got a little bit more freedom. They're rotating classes. They have to navigate the hallways on their own. And I mean, that's an expectation at the secondary level. And so, and then within an OWASO, we have grade levels, and they transition from grade centers rather, and they transition from those grade centers. So I know you guys work to try to have similar rules, if you will, or expectations in each grade center, so it's not such a huge transition when they go from place to place. But so coming from elementary, and then they hit, you know, 6th grade center and then 7th grade center. What do you guys do those first few weeks or first few days of school what's the process to set those expectations for behavior?
It's a lot. First thing, I love what Miss Million said about relationships. We preach the relationship bank, and you need to make sure you've done 3 things positive to a kid before you correct something for there to be that positive relationship. But we are not a GE school, but we have elementary teachers who have been in GE schools, and we had a rough year one year, and we adopted coming up with some basic rules, school-wide rules that we all follow, and in every single class for the first 2 weeks of school, they go over those rules. So it just gets hammered into them. And then make sure as teachers, we're all pulling the rope in the same direction and enforcing those basic rules.
Yeah, that's good.
You guys do a great job of forming relationships, because the mom side of me had 2 kids go through 7th grade center, and that's been their favorite school.
I know, mine too. They
It
love the
just-
7th grade center.
yes.
Yeah.
But you guys did so good at connecting with them. I feel like both my kids felt like they were your favorite, but I think all kids think that in your building because you're everywhere. You're in the classes,
Yeah.
and they make them feel safe there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. Next question is, what are some things you do to encourage positive behavior? Do you guys have any systems in place or structures in place to encourage that consistent positive behavior?
yes, we're over the top. We actually, so part of Great Expectations is when you see someone doing something outstanding and modeling good character, you celebrate it. So on Fridays, throughout the week, teachers will write what we call character awards. And so you'll see someone doing something above and beyond, and then they'll write what they did specifically, and then those students get to come up in front of their student body and in front of their parents and be recognized. But it's important that the other students who are watching get to hear, well, what did that kid do to get recognized in this assembly? And so they're constantly hearing the things that they can do. This morning we probably had 35 to 40 character awards. So students were
Wow.
able to hear
That's
all
a
the
lot.
ways that their peers.
And so when they see that, they're like, I want
wanna
to
do
do that.
that.
I
Yes.
want to get that award.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
just again, modeling for the kids the behaviors that we want. Because we want the school to be we want you to feel like you're caught doing it right, not caught doing it wrong. That's really important to me. We don't want to be a gotcha school. And so the more often we can catch you getting it right, those kids live up to that.
Yeah.
And so they're constantly hoping that an adult is seeing them getting it right.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So at the secondary level, and I know you were an assistant principal at the high school, and so think about things from that perspective as well as maybe what you guys do at the 7th grade center. But can you think of some things that you do to encourage, or things you have done to encourage positive behavior at the secondary level?
We have school bucks in the 7th grade, and teachers can get $20 a week, and they can pass that out to just seeing. It could be a kid who's just being nice in the hallway, opened a door, maybe I let teachers give them for whatever they want, and then we have a little school store they can spend that money at. So that's one thing we do. We have the ACE Award, which teachers are allowed to give 3 away a year. And I stole that from athletics. It's they call it something different, but I know I stole that from Mr. Duffield, Coach Duffield. At the high school, they had an award for students that are just great kids, great behavior. I'm not sure if they still do it or not. I think we called it. I can't even remember what they called it, but it was a.
I think Mrs. Cooper has reinstituted that, and it's I can't remember what she called it either, but it is for character, and they give out awards, those character awards. Yeah, so that's awesome. How do you partner with parents to get them on your side with discipline when sometimes students you got to redirect or have those hard conversations, or they do, they're students and we love kids, and we know that they're going to not do things right all the time, and it's okay. We still love them anyway, but we just got to correct that behavior. So how do you partner with parents in a way that they know that we care about their kids, even though they might have messed up a little bit, and we have to change that?
Ideally, I always hope that I've had interactions with the parent prior to having a situation where I might have to tell them news they may not want to hear about their kid. But one thing I always try to remember is to come at them as I would want to hear it as a mom. And so sometimes there's situations that are hard, but I always tell parents that I call, I'm a boy mom too. Like, I get this situation. Here's what happened. And we want the kid to learn from it and change the behavior. So it's not always about getting them in trouble, but how can we help this child be a productive member of society and be able to take a situation and fix it and make it better. And so it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to give a parent bad news, but we try to have a lot of opportunities for parents to feel like they're part of our school family, whether that's through PTO or just we have different moms volunteer a lot. We have watchdog dads who are there every Friday, so we have at least 3 dads with us all day on Fridays, and so they get to see our school and be in our school and know our hearts and know our character too,
Yeah.
and that's helpful.
Yeah, I think that's great. What about you guys? How do you partner with parents?
We, man, I agree. You have to be empathetic. My least favorite part of my day is making a parent phone call when the kid's in trouble. And man, my assistant principals are incredible. They call so many parents. They're patient. They don't, they let the parents know they're not loving this part either. But I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. We have a parent meeting at the beginning of the year, and kind of my biggest goal to that is we go over school procedures, but I want them to meet us. I want them to see that we're real people, we have families, and that we love kids.
Yeah.
And that's the goal of that.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. All right, so how do your teachers, or how do our teachers create an environment that is engaging but distraction-free in school? A disciplined environment in the classroom.
I think it kind of goes back to that relationship piece. When students know that you care about them and love them, they will do so much more for you, and they can learn better and they can thrive. And so I think when there's a mutual respect there, and the teachers care about the kids and the kids care about the teacher, students ultimately want to do the right thing. And so just teachers will continue to model the behaviors they want, and there's always going to be distractions, but as long as they try to keep their procedures tight and keep the boundaries and have those expectations for their students, then that helps a little.
I've visited a lot of elementary teachers' classrooms, and they've got systems in place where everybody has a job and everybody feels a part of the classroom. There will be someone that answers the door, or when you knock on the door, and they have a certain script or things that they're expected to say, and so just teaching
predictable schedules, kind of staying tight to that schedule, and kids knowing here's what happens at 10, here's when we do math, here's when we do reading, and so that helps too.
Yep, that sounds good. What about you guys?
Man, she's making this easy for me, because it's a lot of the same. If kids are going to struggle learning from you if they don't like you and respect you, and they've got to build that relationship. They have to be consistent with their policies within the classroom. I had something on my mind, and I completely just lost it. But
and I know when we have new teachers, just new to the profession, sometimes that can be a challenge, that classroom management and trying to figure that out. It takes a little time. So I know you guys do a good job of working with teachers, providing strategies, and their peers do too. They're on a team, and their teams can help them out. But my son right now he's a first-year teacher. He's a graduate of Owasso, and he is a science teacher now, a sixth grade science teacher, and he loves the content. He's great with that. But our conversations when he calls is always, "Mom, this thing happened in class. How do I handle it?" It's all about classroom management, because we're dealing with little people, and different personalities. And so one year you've got this strategy in place, or, these procedures, and it works for this one group of kids, and then the next year it just may not work for that group of kids because they're just different little people.
Seems like over time, it's not that it gets easier, but you've seen so much. So as time goes on, and you've experienced different scenarios.
You just get those reps.
And you're like, okay, well, I got this one.
I've seen this.
But there's always a new one.
Yeah, and then your first year as a teacher, everything's new.
Everything's new.
Everything's the first time, so you're having to navigate that. Yeah. All right, as we wrap up, is there any thoughts that you've had, anything that you want to share about the school environment and discipline and keeping kids safe through these school procedures or anything like that?
Well, I think we're blessed here in Owasso. Yeah. We have great kids, great parents, and great teachers.
Yeah.
We're very lucky in today's climate of hiring teachers to still be able to get really good ones in Owasso.
We definitely are, because I hear from my counterparts, colleagues, other superintendents, and other districts, and they talk about the number of emergency certified teachers they have, and number of openings they have, and how hard it is to find teachers, and I know we are experiencing that, but nowhere near at the level that other districts are. So we'll just wrap it up there. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate everything that you guys do for the district. You guys are amazing leaders. So glad you're here in Owasso, and just grateful that you're one of ours and that you're here. So that concludes this episode of Safety Talk Tuesday, and we'll catch you next time.